Make sure you listen to my daddy's podcast right now. Is it best show in the world?
And this is the Cars Face Up Podcast. I am your host, Mr. Ty Hill. First thing I want y'all to do is make sure you subscribe wherever you're listening at. Wherever place you're listening at, make sure you subscribe to my page. Okay, now, today's special segment is called I Declare War with Ty Hill. And y'all know what that means. That means I have a special guest along today with me that meant something to all of us. So like I always try to do is I try to build that moment of nostalgia, that moment of history, that moment to make all of y'all feel with me. So I need y'all to close your eyes for this one, you feel me? Because today's guest, he was one of my childhood favorites, you know. He was a part of that bad boy era, you know, when Puffy had everything on lock. You know, he had the whole East Coast on lockdown. He had Mace, he had 112, he had Faith, he had Total, he had the Locks, he had the Mad Rapper. Puffy had everybody at that time. You feel me? And this artist was one of the artists that he had. And it was a little boy. And he was 11 years old at the time. And he sung this song. And I don't know if y'all remember that Martin episode when he was trying to get with Miss Trinidad, while Miss Trinidad was trying to get with him, you know, his old school teacher. I had one of those episodes in my life. So I remember when this song came out, it was like song number 4 or 5 on the CD. It was the Bad Boys Greatest Hits CD or tape. And I remember rewinding that tape back and forth just so I could write down every lyric. And them lyrics went like this right here.
When I first played, I told you
I instantly wanted to become
a man.
Whoa!
And every day I sit in class and
Dream about
holding your hand.
Okay.
So I told all my boys all
This is it right here. Okay.
When they lecture, I
What they say to you?
And they said you're too old for me.
You're too old for me. I wrote this.
Perfect one for me.
Whoa!
That's all I do.
Man, when I tell you I wrote that song down and I rewinded that tape every time to get all those lyrics out because I had this teacher. Her name was Miss Howard. I was like in the 7th or 8th grade. And like Martin said, I was young, but I still wanted to touch that thigh. You feel me? I still wanted to, you know, I had my Miss Howard. If anybody knows me, they know I was in love with Miss Howard. And I remember writing these lyrics down. She's too old for me, and going to class, and I got my chest poked out. And when I saw it, everything just deflated. All the confidence that this person gave me deflated out of my chest. I was like, boy, what is wrong with you? You're going to get put out of school in the 7th or 8th grade. So without further ado, man, today's guest is Jerome Childers. Welcome to the show, brother. How are you?
Doing good. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Man, we appreciate you for coming. So real talk, that story really happened. Have you ever heard anything like that? That those words in that song, Too Old for Me, inspired generations like that, made us feel good. We felt like, what you mean she's too old for me? You feel me? If I walk up her balcony like he was doing in the video, I could definitely get her, right?
Yeah.
You ever heard any stories like those, man?
Not too much. I mean, when I was young, when I did the video, I was really young, so I didn't really have a girlfriend or anything at the time. And the guy that wrote it for me, his name was Mario Winans. And the only part that I wrote in it myself was, I think, Because You're the Perfect One for Me. So I didn't really write the song. So it's not like a personal reflection of myself or anything. But it was a good song. It came out and a lot of people liked it. A lot of people really like it. It was received well by a lot of people.
Okay, so you were young when you got signed to Bad Boy. How old were you?
Well, when I first got signed to him, I actually was 9. A lot of people don't know that. I was about 9 years old, 9 or 10, and everything was going pretty slow for a while. We didn't do too much at the beginning. We would go up to New York every now and then and try to do songs, and every now and then we did some songs, but it didn't really pick up until I got about 12 or 13. So I signed at 9, and I released my first single, Too Old for Me, at 12.
Wow, so 12. And that's when y'all shot the video and everything?
Uh-huh, yeah.
Now that song blew up. That song blew up. I remember this is back in cassette tape days, y'all. I think CDs was just starting. It's like 9.7,
Yeah,
9.8, but it's really the cassette tape. It's when you used to get the cheap version. It was like $2 or $3, and it would
yeah.
have just that single and a bunch of other instrumental and the just the hook version or whatever they're called. And I remember that, man. So you being a part of that era, how does it feel? Do you feel like you're a part of history personally?
um, Not really. I mean, because the album never really came out or anything. So I had that one single, and every now and then I get people on Facebook that say, "Oh, I remember that song." But when you think about it, when you're yourself, you don't really think of yourself as being famous. And I never got to the point where I was like a Justin Bieber or anything like that. So I never really thought of myself as being really, really famous. But when this documentary came out, I received a lot of love, and there's a lot of people that said that they remember it. But yeah, I never really thought of myself as being like part of history, but I would like to be.
I I think you are, and I understand that you feel as though, and we had conversations, so I mean it from the heart. It's genuine, and I think you're a part of history, not because you had a big, big successful career, but because you have memories inside those lives that listen, like the one that I just told, and that's all we try to do over here on Cause Face Up. I declare war segment. It's try to build that nostalgic feeling, and you played the part in that. So we want to thank you for that first and foremost.
Okay.
You came out with that song. She's too old for me. You also did Crush on You. Was that
Yes.
also written by Mario Winans?
Actually, that was written by Kelly Price. Kelly
Okay,
Price, she did
Kelly
that.
Price.
Yeah,
Shout out to
she
Kelly
was
Price for Mario.
yeah, yeah. It was actually the track was made by Stevie J and Kelly
Hitmaker,
Price.
Hitmaker.
Yeah, yeah. And Kelly Price wrote the song "Crush on You," and I remember him going in the studio playing the actual guitar licks, putting it on there, and then she wrote the song, and it turned out real nice. It was a really good song. But she was like a writer on Bad Boy when I first got there, and yeah, that was before she blew up. So and then after that, she kind of took off. Um, but but yeah, it was a good song. I like Crush on You. Crush on You was a real good song.
I think Crush on You was slept on. I know what's the name blew up bigger. Too old for me blew up bigger, but Crush on You was slept on. So what we want to know is, so you have Crush on You, then you have Too Old for Me. What happened? Why didn't the album never materialize? Like, why didn't it ever come out?
But what happened is I ended up getting some vocal issues, and the I think it was reflux. I think nobody really knew for sure what was going on because I went to a doctor and he uh, kind of like examined. He put stuff down in my nose. He gave me all kinds of medication. He said it was allergies, and he didn't know. And then later on, actually, it wasn't until I got released from Bad Boy that I found out that it was reflux. So nobody knew what
Mm.
it was. I didn't know. My dad didn't know. The company didn't know, and the album just never came out. And eventually I did have a nervous breakdown because and I don't necessarily think it was Puffy or anybody. I think it was just bad timing. Because when I first started off doing the show, not show, I'm sorry, doing the getting signed to Bad Boy and doing my songs, uh it was going real slow. Every now and then I go up to New York and I do a song, and it was going real slow, and it was actually good for me because every now and then I'll go to school on a weekend. Every now and then I'll go up to New York and do a song or two. But when my voice started messing up and I started having issues and I was getting depressed and everything, all of a sudden the business just picked up and everything was
Mm.
going fast, and I just couldn't take the pressure. you know I eventually had kind of a breakdown, and eventually Puffy decided to release me from the label. So
Wow. So all right. So you really couldn't. You were finished recording. Were you finished recording the album?
yes, I was. The album was about to come out. It was. It was
And he
about to
just
come out. It
decided.
had like 12. Yeah, I had like 12 or 13 songs.
And he
Yeah,
just decided to drop you. at that time because of your breakdown and the things that you was going through with the voice issue. So did anybody, I know you say he tried to work with you as far as the voice issues and see what was wrong, doctors of sort, I'm sure, with that. With the breakdown part of it, did anybody care from the label? I mean, did Puff ever come to you and say, hey, little guy, this is how I imagine it. How I imagine it is like I seen it in a video with him talking to you in a Bentley, and he looked over to you and said, "Yo, Jerome, gonna be okay." Like, did he ever give you that big brotherly advice or try to help you with the breakdown part of it and how to handle? I mean, you're 14. Did he try to help you?
Well, to be honest, he didn't really reach out to me, but to me, I think what happened is that he was scared. Because if you think about it, if you're a grown man and you're putting all this music and attention and money into this little boy, and he has a nervous breakdown, the first thing you're gonna say is, well, maybe I'm putting too much pressure on him, so maybe I should take a breather and let him get himself together. And maybe he's just not prepared. So I think that's why he didn't reach out to me, because he's scared. Well, what if he sues me? What if I'm putting too much pressure on him? So he stopped putting the pressure on me and decided to release me from the label. He didn't reach out to me, and I would like for him to give me a call every now and then. But I think he's just scared because he put pressure on this little kid, and he had a nervous breakdown. What if I had another nervous breakdown? What if the next time I tried to kill myself? So you gotta see it from that perspective. I think it was just he was a little scared. That's all. So I have nothing against Puffy. I wish him all the best.
Got you. So with you being signed to that label at that time and going through the things that you went through with the nervous breakdown and the pressure, talk to the kids for a second. What was that pressure on you? Try to make us feel like what was it? Can you call it now that you're older and you're able to look back? Did you over exaggerate it, or was it really just a lot for you and you preferred to say? Because we've seen child stars walk away. We've seen child stars walk away from the top. I mean, we had Tevin Campbell disappeared at the height of his career, came back as an adult or whatever, but it just was never the same. But we've seen that. What was those pressures? How was you feeling?
I think the pressure wasn't necessarily the business. I think the pressure was me, because again, I said it was like when the business didn't pick up until I started having issues with my voice. So the business itself was good. I wanted to sing. I wanted to do those things. So it wasn't necessarily the business that cracked me at that time. It was the fact that there was so much going on and the business was happening at the same time. So it was just bad timing. So I wouldn't say that the business cracked me. I think it was just me and the things that I was going through and the issues I was facing at the time. I didn't have time to step back and say, okay, I need to take a break and regroup myself. And I think it just got to me, and that's why I had that breakdown.
Got you. I understand fully. So, like everybody else want to know, one of the main questions of anybody that's ever dealt with Bad Boy, because we're talking, like I said, we had Mase, we had 112, we had Total, we had Faith, The Lox, Mad Rapper, G-Dep, rest in peace, Biggie Smalls, Craig Mack, and most recently, rest in peace to the homie Black Rob. And there's so many horror stories out there about Puffy. In your opinion, was Puffy a good CEO?
I think he was good to me. He was, because he's really respectful to me. I was always calling my dad Mr. Childers. He never disrespected me in any kind of way. I don't know what his relationship was with other people, but I know he was a good person to me. And he put a lot of money into me, he put a lot of time into me, a lot of attention into my project. So I think as a CEO, I'm not sure what his relationship was with other people, but to me, I think he's a pretty good, he did good business with me. So that's what I'll say.
So, signed to Bad Boy, you start having voice problems, you go through a nervous breakdown, and then you get dropped from Bad Boy. What's the next step?
Well, the next step was just to get myself together, because eventually, the breakdown caused depression and stuff, and you have to get yourself together and get your mind right. And so what I did is I just got my mind right. Eventually, I started going to school, uh, making my own music. I started writing and doing producing, and what I really did was focus on school. I eventually got my degree in international business. I got my
Congratulations.
master's. Thank you. I got my master's in marketing, and I learned some languages too. I speak French, German, Italian. I speak Spanish the most, and I know a little Chinese. So, but it was really just focusing on school. And once school's finished, I got more back into the business. And it wasn't until recently that I really started pushing and saying, I want to do this again because
Okay.
music is just in my soul and it's something that I want to do. Eventually, I was like, how am I going to survive in the business? But at the end of the day, you have to do what you love. So that's what I did. That's what I want to do.
Got you. So you're back on the music scene. And at that, after all of that happened, you got yourself together, you went and accomplished some great things, and then you jump back on the music scene. What was your direction with the music that you were coming with? Was it to get back? I mean, is Bad Boy a place that you would like to go? Have you reached out to Puff, or it's like, nah, I'm independent? Like, is Bad Boy the label that you would like to talk to? Have you reached to them?
Um, I don't know. I don't know if Bad Boy is not. I don't know if I want to go back to Bad Boy. I mean, I would like to work with Puffy again, maybe if he's interested. But I really just want to. What I was focusing on mostly was doing the background type of stuff, like writing and producing and making tracks and stuff like that. I would love to sing and get in there as singer, but doing background stuff is kind of my goal because that's where most of the income comes from. Actually, people don't know that. They see the artists out there and they perform and they think they're making all this money. No, actually, it's actually from the writers and producers that you get most of the income. And once the artist is gone, 10 years later, someone performs that song again, and you're the writer or the producer, you get money again. Like Dottie Parton with "I Will Always Love You." She wrote that song
Mm-hmm.
and it came out 2 or 3 times. Yeah, and she did really good. And so she is the one that benefited the most from that song. A lot of people don't know that. So that's something that I would really love to get back into producing, writing. I love to sing, but I want to write and produce mostly.
Got you, got you. Now, as far as your voice, I hear you say you went through the voice problems as far as your voice, vocal cords, and things of sort. We had a nervous breakdown, but I've heard you sing recently, and
Mhm.
man, you still got it. I don't know what you did, or and that's one of the things that make people say certain stuff like, "Damn, did Puff was the whole Bad Boy and the problems with the singing a way of God just coming through and saying, no, we're gonna take one of ours away from here, this situation." Because I mean, we have to be 100. And I understand, you know, everything that Puffy has signed, it's bad deals everywhere. Like
Yeah.
everybody has a bad story about him, and and it makes you wonder because I listen to your music now, and you could still sing very, very well. And I'm gonna ask you, and that's gonna be up to you if you want to do it. You feel me? But at the end of this interview, I want you to close us out with just one of your covers or one of your original songs, whatever you want to do, if you're willing and up to it, because I think the world needs to see. Hey, Jerome is still the man when it comes to vocals. And me and my lady was listening the other day, and we was like, that boy could still sing, man. And you sent me something a few years ago, and I was like, yeah, he still, I can't remember what song it was, but it was a cover, and you was like, you wanted to sing it at like weddings and stuff. And I was like,
Oh
man,
yeah.
I
Yeah.
was
You
like,
for
see,
me?
yeah,
You for
that's
me
what it
by
was.
Johnny Gill? Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what it was. So like you've been killing it for years. So I want you to tell the fans how they can catch up with Jerome and support Jerome and show love to Jerome and keep up with all of his endeavors. Give them some feedback as far as how can they keep up with you and catch up with
Well, recently with the Bad Boy video, there's been a lot of people circling my songs on YouTube. So YouTube, all you gotta do is just type in Jerome Chowders, and you'll see all my stuff. It's just a list of stuff, one by one. from Bad Boy all the way up until now. So just type in Jerome Childers, Jerome, Childers, Childers. Type in that. You could also reach me on Facebook, Twitter at Jerome1120. And yeah, I have a R&B album, and I have a gospel album, and I also have a cover album out. So if you're interested in buying those or auditioning them or whatever, those are things that I'm doing right now. So, reach out to me.
Got you. Now, before we go, Jerome, do you have any funny stories from from your time? Because you got to be on top with a lot of people. I mean, you got to play with. I mean, you just dropped the whole Mario Winans and dropped the Kelly Price names, and it was like, yeah, you was on top with a lot of big. I mean, Heavy D. You got to be on. Nori is like one of the biggest people in the world right now on the podcast scene. You was in a remix with him. You got any industry secrets that the world don't know?
I think a lot of people don't know I worked with Rodney Jerkins. And he had some really nice songs. Yeah, and those never came out, and I was upset about that. Those are some really nice songs. There's a song he did called "Big on You," and there's also a song that he did called "Magazine Girl," and it's "I seen your face in a magazine, and it became so clear to me." And it was just some nice songs. And I wish those songs would have came out, but a lot of people
Speaking
don't know
of
that.
all right, so let's rewind. All right, this was all supposed to be on the album.
Yeah.
Where's the album? I understand it was shelved, but for us that don't understand the music industry, you were dropped from the label. Puffy shelved the album. I'm guessing that's what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
Where the hell did Puffy go with the album? Did you get it? Do anybody have a copy?
Well, those type of things, what they do is they just like you said, they shelve them. They take those songs and they're somewhere in a studio somewhere, on some sort of magnetic tape somewhere. Nobody knows where they are. I don't know where those songs are. If I
Y'all
were to
don't get a copy or nothing.
Oh, we got copies. We got copies of those songs because a lot of times when we would do the song, we would get a copy of like the cassette and we would take it home. And so we have tapes and tapes of songs that we did when we were up there in New York. So we have copies of them, but the actual songs themselves, because I didn't write them or produce them, I really don't know where they are right now. I really don't.
I got you. How's those contracts look, Jerome? Do Bad Boy at least treat the artist correctly on the contract wise, or it's really nothing? You're not eating off of that anymore, are you?
Nah, a lot of the money that you get is when your album comes out and it sells. And what happens is you pay back the company first.
You recoup.
Pay back the producers, the writers, and everything that you do. You have to pay that back first before you get your money. So since my album never came out and it never sold, I never really got any money from that. So yeah, as far as royalties and all that is concerned, I never got any of that, unfortunately.
I got you. So you have any industry friends that you could still reach out to? We were speaking about that as far as the people that you all the big people that you've worked with. Do you still have friends inside the industry? Or I mean, you was a kid, so was they ever considered friends? Or was they all on some Hollywood?
Faith Evans was somebody that I reached out to, and she really responded very well. I actually have her number on my phone, and we talk every now and then. She's really good people. She talks to me every time when she gets a chance, she responds. She's very nice. A lot of people don't know how nice she is. She's a very nice person. So I reached out to her. I think Stevie J, he was there with her, and he called me on his phone. He sent me a track, and I wrote a song and sent it to him, and they responded very well. I sent them my cover album. They really liked it. But when COVID came out, I think the music business slowed down very much so. So they weren't doing anything, so I wasn't doing anything, and I think that's where that whole transaction kind of slowed down. But we still talk. I still have her number on my phone. I just talked to her when the video came out. I let her know that when they were saying, Faith didn't reach out to him, and I let her know, I didn't say that because she did reach out to me, and she's always been a nice person. So,
right. So Faith, and that's funny because you had the relationship with Faith, then had a relationship with Stevie J, and now Stevie J and Faith are actually a couple. So that's kind of dope. That's got to be dope for you. That interview was named "The Evils of Bad Boys" or "Bad Boys," the evil side of Bad Boy. You did an interview called "The Evil Side of Bad Boy" or a little documentation of that. Do you feel like it's really an evil side or?
I don't think it's evil. I wouldn't say it's the evil side of Bad Boy. I would say that it's just an unfortunate incident. I got released from the label, and it's just a lesson learned. I wouldn't say it's the evil side of Bad Boy, and just to everybody out there, I wouldn't dog Puffy and say that he's just this bad person, because he was really nice to me. He wasn't just a terrible person to me. I don't know what his relationship was with other people, but he wasn't just a bad person. So the evil side of Bad Boy, I could do without that. But it was an unfortunate incident that I got released. But other than that, I have no personal issues with Puffy.
So. I got you. Look, Jerome, I appreciate you coming through, my brother. As I told you previously, I'm a fan. I appreciate everything that you have given. What I want to do is give you a chance or opportunity to say anything to your fans, because they listen. Give an opportunity to say anything to your fans. And also, can you close us out with a song, brother? You mind singing it just a little bit? Let them hear, for all those people that's looking for songs, let them know. For those that need a voice, for those that still need a person to sing at their wedding, because that's the type of chops you got, brother. You got that, I got that live voice type chop. So would you be willing to give us that to close us out?
Sure. Just check out Jerome Childers on YouTube. Check me out on Twitter. Check me out on Facebook. I guess I could close with a Kim Burrell song.
Let's go, brother. Let's go. Jerome Childers right here on the Cards Face Up podcast. Make sure you subscribe.
When the time comes for us to pray, we find other things to say instead of giving thanks for what God has already done, or asking for more. But with a grateful heart, we ought to pray, Lord, let your will be done. And if you never give me another thing, I just thank you for forgiving me.
Jerome Childers, y'all. Make sure you go subscribe to the Cards Face Up podcast and everywhere Jerome Childers is. Make sure you keep supporting real R&B, real history, real facts, and all of that. Jerome, we appreciate you. Thank you for stopping by, brother.